Black Clover is a shonen anime based on a manga by Yuki Tabata and consisting of 170 episodes as of now, but there are rumblings of a 5th season and more episodes to come. It is a tale set in the fantastical Clover Kingdom ruled by its king and protected by the Wizard King, the strongest mage in all the realm. Under the Wizard Kings are the 9 orders of the Magic Knights, valiant defenders of the realm consisting of the greatest mages, each led by a captain who is an army unto themselves. In Clover Kingdom, the greatest honor is to be chosen into one of the illustrious orders of the Magic Knights to selflessly devote one's life for the good of the people and maybe one day be elevated as the Wizard King. And this too is the dream of Asta and Yuno, 2 orphan boys raised in the same church, out in the boonies. Of the 2, Yuno, the reserved Mr. Perfect pretty boy, shines in all forms of wind magic, while Asta, who is the polar opposite of his brother from another mother, crass, loud and mostly uninspiring in his appearance, cannot manifest the smallest amount of it, and instead focuses on his physical fitness, hellbent on flexing his way to victory. It is the usual, well that's convenient, setting where the underdog rises to greatness as Asta is granted the power of anti-magic in the form of a giant sword, enabling him to match Yuno as their journey begins. But then again, this is a common trope in shonen shows. From that brief extract you might have gathered that Black Clover is an anime about magic, and the system they've created is honestly one of the greatest strengths of the entire show. Everyone has magic of some sort, and it's all unique to that person in one way or another. You might have a fire mage manifesting a dragon, or blazing lion claws, or a flaming baseball bat? And yeah, the same applies to all styles of magic, and every time a new character was introduced I find myself being excited for the unique type of magic they might wield, awaiting with the sparkle in my eye to see it in action, even if the characters themselves were mostly rather uninspiring. Don't get me wrong, they were all unique enough and some even interesting to a point, but mostly they were very box standard and nothing really to write home about. But in the world of Black Clover, not all mages are born equal, and those of a more noble lineage tend to possess far greater magical abilities, thus creating a form of segregation based on power, and only in the service to the Magic Knights might one gain equality based purely on their abilities. At least to a degree, as some knightly orders, or squads as they're known, are led by royalty, while others almost never accept anyone outside of nobility amongst their number, unless the individual shows considerable promise. Now, I've been going on and on about how amazing the magic in Black Clover is, and for me that was the main thing keeping me interested. That and a few of the characters who I really enjoyed seeing, as for the most part the show didn't really do anything special and was a fairly standard dime-in-a-dozen fantasy shonen. However, the magic system in Black Clover was also its greatest downfall for me. In the usual shonen fashion, our intrepid heroes grow stronger and start slowly facing increasingly capable foes as they themselves grow as well. In a phenomenon, sometimes, especially in gaming, called power creep, and keeping that power creep in check is an important aspect of maintaining the relevance of the rest of the world and not just the main characters. Now, you might have guessed, or if you watched Black Clover, know that there comes a few events in which this hasn't been taken into consideration. And not only that, as the show progresses, those events become increasingly more frequent. And now we steer into spoiler territory. The first inkling of such an event is brought to light as the Wizard King is brought low by the Elf Patri, as he's forced to focus his efforts in saving the realm instead. This in and of itself is a great way to explain why the most overpowered good character isn't just popping in and out to save the day every time, whilst also establishing the power level of the foes to come. Or at least so it should be. Just imagine, how could Asta and Yuno hope to stand against an enemy that bested the immovable object that was Julius Novachrono, the Wizard King, who incidentally was also supposed to be the power cap of the show, even if the victory was achieved by trickery. And if Patri was the greatest foe in a long while, things could have been different, but this was where the enemy started to become more and more powerful in massive leaps. First, the realm is invaded by elven spirits possessing the mightiest mages in the realm, boosting their powers to a ridiculous degree, easily besting all but the captains of the Night Squads and of course the main heroes. At least Yuno is given a decent explanation to his abilities suddenly jumping, as he too is possessed by an elf while still managing to keep his head. This too might have been excused as one of the events of an ancient grudge that ended up boosting the abilities of the possessed mages, ushering in a new golden age of powerful magic wielders from all social classes. And then they brought in the demon, a being wielding otherworldly magic leagues above even the elves. Now, demons have been hinted at previously, as the Clover Kingdom was once saved by the first Wizard King, besting a demon and saving the world. Now that this new one has arisen, it's only fitting that this character of legend too returns to fight beside Asta and Yuno. And not only him, as the spirit of the King of the Elves too is stirred to wield the blade once more. If you're thinking that all these events jam-packed right after one another feel like they should have been a Titanic end-of-a-show clash, you are thinking along the same lines as I was, and you should be beginning to see the problem here. Long story short, the demon is finally vanquished, only for us to learn that its kind now seem to be popping up absolutely everywhere, one thing leads to another and we get a time skip during which Asta's design becomes absolutely revolting, and it feels like every other character, including the captains not included in the training skip, are still completely useless against the demons. Essentially, it appears that the show kills off all the previously established interesting magics and focuses on just the main characters, and as I mentioned, the characters were never really all that interesting to begin with. For me, the last straw was the demon-powered Xenon attacks the headquarters of the Golden Dawn, the mightiest Magic Knight squad, and barely lifts a finger to wipe the floor with them. It really showed how the kingdom of powerful mages and interesting magic system was no longer going to be in the limelight, and equally beaten to the ground was my interest in watching any further. Now, I completely understand why this decision was made to no longer bring in legions of new and interesting mages, as I can imagine how much time it took to invent all of them, especially since Black Clover isn't the kind of show that could go balls to the walls in similar vein to One Piece when it comes to abilities. But at the same time, I feel like the shift in focus felt really rushed. There was next to no build-up of dread or establishment of power between the elves and the ridiculously overpowered demons, now seemingly popping in left, right and centre. I do feel like I should mention that this is a problem a lot of battle shonen have to deal with in one way or another. Where Black Clover goes wrong is that the setting of the Clover Kingdom remains the same, and not everyone in there gets the boost in power, and it feels like the established power cap of the Wizard King gets constantly surpassed, and there doesn't seem to be a ceiling for how strong people can become, unlike in other popular shonen. For example, in One Piece, nobody has as of yet surpassed Whitebeard and Goldie Roger in terms of power, and in My Hero Academia every student grows at around the same pace. Now, before I end, I have heard that the show should become really good again from those reading the manga, so I might one day give it another go, but for now I've just lost all interest in it. That being said, Black Clover has never been a bad show per se, and if you're into battle shonen or magic anime in general, I'd still recommend giving it a go, even if like me the power creep eventually puts you off, it's still a fun ride. And finally, leave your thoughts in the comments below and let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. Are you an avid viewer and or reader of Black Clover, or have you grown jaded to it? If you like this, like it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you're new, and check the links in the description if you want to engage with me outside of YouTube. With this, I have been Cheese, and I hope to see you next time with more anime goodness. Ta-ta for now.